Whoa, welcome to a very special edition of A Fair One with Tommy Pope and Dave Landau. I say very special because we are gifted to have rap icon, music icon, fashion icon, Mr. DMC from Run DMC, aka Easy D, aka Darryl McDaniels. What is up, my man?
What's happening? What's happening? How y'all doing?
Better, dude, better. This is I think I wrote this on my eighth grade bedroom wall one day. Talk to you, so it feels good. Feels
Oh,
good.
cool. Where you originally from?
I'm originally from Philly.
Oh, nice. Right down the block.
Yeah, suburb just outside of Philly. But yeah, all my friends obviously admired you. I went to a school dance dressed up as you. I
Uh,
I played Drexel Hill Football Raiders, which is a youth organization. So I know you always rocked like that Raiders gear.
yes, we
So
did.
I put on my Black Raiders T-shirt and
Right.
I had an Italian leather jacket I borrowed from my brother because we're Italian. You have to have a leather jacket in the
You
house.
have to have a leather.
I
Yep. The
took
Yep.
blazer.
Yeah, my dad had like a pop hat, so that worked.
Right.
But the problem was I tried too hard to be cool, and I put on these Philadelphia Eagles Zubaz pants.
Oh,
So
so it went wrong with that.
yeah, it just looked like I was picking up my kid like as a divorced dad. So but thanks for being on with us, man. Where you at right
Yep.
now?
I'm in Jersey, Wayne, New Jersey.
Oh, cool.
You're living
Right
out
over the
there
George
now,
Washington
right?
Bridge.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're living out there now, right?
Yes, I've been in Jersey like 22 years or something.
Yeah, because you went
But it's
Harlem,
so
Brooklyn,
uh
right?
say what?
Did you go Harlem, Queens, or Harlem, Brooklyn? I forgot.
I went Harlem, Brooklyn,
That's
Queens.
okay.
Right. I didn't know I was from Harlem till I was 35 years old. Because
Oh,
I found out I was adopted when I was 35 years old.
Whoa.
Yes.
What'd you get? Like an email or a phone call? How'd that happen?
Oh no, no. I actually hold on, I can't even see with these glasses on. I actually was gonna commit suicide. And before, yeah, I was gonna kill myself. And I was like, if I die, people know the Run DMC story, but they don't know who Daryl is. So
Dang.
before I kill myself, I want to write this book. And in the book, I want to say, yo, what's up, world? You know me, I'm DMC, one third of the pioneering rap group Run DMC. First to go gold, first to go platinum, first on the cover Rolling Stone, first with the sneaker deals, first with the big tour. Everything that hip hop is doing is because of me running Jay. But I'm really just Darryl McDaniels from Hollis, Queens, New York. I was born May 31st, 1964. And when I said that, I was like, oh, I know my birthday, but I don't know no details about it. So I called my mom's up. I was like, yo, mom, I didn't say, Mom, I'm about to kill myself. I need to know this because she would have lost it. I
Yeah.
was like, yo, mom, I know my birthday's May 31st, 1964, but just to make it more interesting for the reader, I need a couple of details. And she was like, okay. I was like, how much did I weigh? What time I was born? What hospital? So she told me. I love you, son. Hung up the phone. An hour goes by. She calls back with my father. Now, you got to imagine, I was depressed. I was suicidal. I had anxiety. I got OCD. And I'm about to leave this existence. They hit me with this. Hey, son, we have something else to tell you. So I thought it was going to be like when you was born, all the electricity in the hospital went out and they
Yeah.
gave birth to you by candlelight. Nah, it was like, you was a month old when we brought you home and you're adopted and we love you. Bye. Click. Yep. At 35 years old. So you know how that must have felt.
Damn. So that's kind of what saved your life then.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. For
Was it
sure.
the unknown?
Well, it gave you
The
something to
traumatic
pursue.
revelation of, because I mean, it was funny because it was like, I got this feeling in me. And you know, it's funny. This all happened right around the time we dropped down with the King. Remember Down with the King in 93?
Oh, yeah.
Pete Rock, one of the greatest producers in hip hop, he produced Down with the King. So Down with the King, Pete Rock hates when I say this too. Down with the King did for Run DMC what Walk This Way did for Aerosmith. It brought us back. And what I mean by that is at that time in the 90s, hip hop had changed. You know what I'm saying? You had Pac, you had Biggie, Wu Tang. It was crazy. Like the door we opened up, we just floodgates of rappers, Tribe Called Quest, Naughty by Nature. So at that time, we was respected, but we wasn't participating anymore. We was the OGs. They loved us though. Everybody was like, "'Cause of you, this exists," but we wasn't current. When Down with the King came out, it put us back on MTV, put us back on the tours. And the crazy thing about that was in the 80s, we was getting the 80s money. Now the 90s come, the pay raise went up, but we were still the OGs. We were still getting 80s money.
80s
When
money,
we put Down with the King out, we getting the 90s money now.
Oh, yeah.
So we opening up for Naughty by Nature. We opening up for Tribe. We opening up for Biggie Pop. We opening up for Marilyn Manson. We opening up for ZZ Top. So we back in the game. Right when it happened, something just came over me saying, "I don't want to live no more." So that revelation was actually information necessary for me to continue on with life. I'm Darryl McDaniels, running JM of Friends. I'm the king of rock who told the world to walk this way in their Adidas. Well, my Adidas, but then now your Adidas. But the missing piece of my identity was the fact that I was adopted. So when I found that out, even though it was like an unfortunate way to find it out, something inside me said, "Oh, okay, yeah, there was a missing piece of my identity, which was that I was adopted."
And you at the time, we talked about it when we first met. You were dealing with drugs and alcohol at the time pretty hard too, weren't you? At that time.
Well, no, it wasn't drugs and it was just alcohol.
Alcohol.
It was old English.
Yeah, I'm an alcoholic myself. It's my favorite drug.
Yeah. I don't like smoking weed. I talk with a lot of people about this. The cocaine in the 80s was good, but it wasn't really nothing exciting about cocaine. But I was drinking a case of Old English, 40 ounces a day. Not one or two, a case.
I heard the legend of this from a high school buddy of mine. Said you polish off between 6 and 10 OEs every day. And
yeah, I kept a refrigerator in the back of my truck so I didn't have to stop at the grocery store to get them.
Damn, dude. We used to play this game. I went to Drexel University in Philly, but I lived on Temple's campus, and me and a bunch of buddies would play Edward 40 hands. And
I like that.
Two old 40s, and you duct tape them.
It.
And you'd have to finish them before you went to the bed. Whoever went themselves is out.
I would have knocked that game out.
Oh my God. Legendary as you are, I'm not bringing you in.
I would have knocked it out the park. So I mean, all of that was, and then when I found out that I was adopted, that made me go to rehab to get sober. Cause I'm like, I gotta deal with this, I probably got this other mother. Cause look, I probably got this other mother out there. There's this father, I probably got other brothers and sisters. So it brought up this whole mystery for me.
Yeah.
So I was like, to handle this old English, Jack Daniels and Jim Beam was my best friend, but I had to go, Jack, Jim, I can't hang with you no more. I got some stuff that I need to deal with. So when I went to rehab, I was diagnosed with suppressed emotions. Like I was using the old English to hide how I really felt. You know what I'm saying? So it turned out good. That revelation led to me getting sober and going to therapy. And I had to go, once I went to rehab, I had to go into therapy to find out why I was drinking in the first place. So it let me know, I found out this mystery about me. I found out why I got OCD. I found out why I have suppressed emotions. I found out why I was using hip hop as my expression because I was a shy kid growing up. The only reason why I'm good in front of people now is I had 30 years on stage in front of y'all. So it's easy for me to communicate. I know that you're not going to bite my head off anymore. Yeah. But prior to that, I was just writing my rhymes in my room for me to get out what I had inside of me. I didn't know if I put it on a record, I'm going to have to get up in front of y'all and do it. That wasn't the motivation behind it. Run on the other hand, his brother Russell, before Rap Records was even made, Russell was in the business of hip hop. He was a hip hop promoter. He would go get Grandmaster Flash, Grand Wizard Theodore, Africa Bambaataa. He would go rent the local PAL down the block, and he would charge the public $5 to see what they could see for free anyway every weekend at the block party. And I remember when Russell wasn't the only one, but it was like when the promoters started to charge us to see what I just saw in the park for free, At first, it was, yo, we ain't paying y'all for this. I'm gonna wait till Saturday. But as soon as the DJ put the record on and the MC opened up his mouth, he was like, "Here, here's my $5." So hip hop was the thing that you had to be involved with.
So you kind of watched it, especially being in New York, where I would say it was founded. It's kind of like how I say punk is really from Detroit.
Right.
This is really where it was founded. Did you watch it just go from essentially kind of I guess a street almost unknown? How can I put
Yes.
this? Dolomite, sort of Rudy Ray Moore.
Right.
Even poetry written by like Iceberg Slim, his books, like this very underground cultish thing that, and you just watched it grow and grow and grow.
Right. Exactly. I saw it when it was a sperm cell
Yeah.
connecting with the egg. You know what I'm saying? Then we saw it starting to form, then it became the baby, then it's learned to walk. You know what I'm saying? And its first tooth grow. Yeah, I saw it from its beginning.
Dang.
It's amazing.
It's crazy. Like before Rappers Delight, most people know Rappers Delight, but the actual first hip hop record wasn't Rappers Delight. It was a funk band called the Fatback Band from back in the day. They did this record called King Tim the Third. Was the first time somebody rapped on a record. But
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. It's a Fatback Band. They were a funk band, like Ohio Players, Earth, Wind and Fire, Fatback Band, all the funk bands of the '70s. So the Fatback Band, King Tim, one of the band members of the Fatback Band, was the first time.
Oh, is this it
That's
right
it.
here playing?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I didn't know this. This is amazing.
Yep, that's it. That's the first time rap was on a vinyl recording.
Well, and you think about punk bands too, a band that you obviously toured with, because I have the shirt, and I love the Beastie Boys were the first number
Oh
one hip
yes.
hop group, and it was essentially
Yep.
a white punk band, and people
They
didn't
were
know
a
if they
punk
were
band.
joking at first.
Nah, we was working in this place called Chunking House of Metal. Was a studio. We was recording in a metal punk studio in downtown Manhattan, and the Beastie Boys was in there, Slayer was in there, Anthrax was in there. Everybody was recording at Chunking House of Metal. So we started recording in there, and every once in a while, Rick Rubin would come stick his head in.
Wow.
Yo, what's up, yo? What's going on here? We'd be like, yo, come on, come hang out. So we was doing we was actually recording the Raising Hell album,
Okay.
and Rick brought the three Beasties in, and Rick was like to Jay, yo, you think these three white guys can make a hip hop album? And Jay was like, sure, why not? And they was like, yo, really? You think we could do it? Jay was like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? So we did this song that we wasn't using on the Raising Hell album called Slow and Low. Let it flow, let yourself go. Slow and low, that is the tempo. So to get them started, the BC was like, yo, y'all ain't gonna use that record? We was like, nah, could we get it? So y'all want, yeah, here you go. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't actually write for the Beasties. We wrote with them, you know what I'm saying? So we gave them Slow and Low, which was kind of like the appetizer for them to get their feet wet. So we give it to them. They take Slow and Low, completely flip it from a Beastie Boy perspective. You know what I'm saying? And it was just little things like on my version, I said I got determination, bass in highs. Um, I said I see really well because I have four eyes because I wear glasses.
Yeah.
So we give it to them. They flipped it, and this is probably one of the greatest lyrics in hip hop history. They said we got determination, bass in highs. White Castle fries only come in one size.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yo, did you hear that lyric? Yo, that's Creole. So then we knew they had what it takes because they wasn't white punk rock band trying to be black rapping MCs.
Yeah.
It was the Beastie Boys, this band, doing who they were in a hip hop fashion. That's why they got so much love in the beginning. Mm-hmm. They didn't wear gold chains. They didn't dress like us or whatever. Like Mike D was so sick Instead of going out and getting Dookie rope chains with the real Adidas on it, Mike D took the VW emblem off a VW Beetle that was parked in downtown Manhattan, took a fake ass plastic chain, put that on around his neck, and walked in the room and said, "What?" So we lost it because real recognized real. Like if he'd have came in with a gold chain, we'd have been, "Oh, that's corny."
Oh, hell yeah.
But to actually take the emblem, you see, he wore it. He wore it his whole damn career, damn near.
Oh
The
yeah.
VW emblem came off a Beetle that was parked in New York somewhere. And he just threw it on a chain and looked at us and said, "What?" So for the Beasties, it was that it was the expression of why Walk This Way worked. Walk This Way wasn't the first rock rap record. The first rock rap record was Rock Box, which was the first rap video on MTV. And yes, doing the rock and roll, having a rock guitars or rock box gave us a little advantage to get on MTV because at the time MTV was rock based. And even in the early, David Bowie had a beef with MTV because David Bowie, in the middle of his interview about him, he turned to them and said, "Why you don't have black people in the playlist?"
Yeah,
there was a famous interview for that. You know what I'm saying? But what they did was our expression of what we do, what we did when we came with hip hop, the punks were already doing it. It was that same expression of rebellion, F you, I'm a dress, talk, and do what I want. When they saw we was doing it like they were doing it, but we were doing it without knowing we was doing the same thing they were already doing, it just showed that that hip hop kid was sampling and rapping over rock and folk rock records. And the punk kids, like the Beasties, was in New York doing their band thing. But Lou Reed, the Ramones, the Beastie Boys, all of those guys, Blondie. People forget Blondie made a rap song called Rapture talking about a guy called Grandmaster Flash.
Yep.
So the punk guys was loving us and they were lucky, they were coming to our shows. So they were there. When the Beasties did it, it kind of solidified the fact that a band like Limp Bizkit could exist, Rage Against the Machine could exist. You know, David Grohl was like, "Yo, Kurt Cobain, but yo, we Nirvana, we never missed the Beastie Boy Run DMC show." So we all were doing the same thing, but it took Walk This Way to show the world that knock the wall down. When Steven Tyler took that mic stand and knocked the wall down, that people say, "Yo, that didn't just happen in a video. That happened, I'm talking about globally, Japan, France, Paris." So all the white kids and the black kids was like, "Oh, we the same thing anyway." You know, the Beasties and Run DMC is the same thing. It's just a different expression. So when that happened, that kind of changed the dynamics of what already existed in music. We didn't invent it now. We wasn't brilliant. It wasn't brilliant for us to do Rockbox. And then Rockbox was 84. Oh shoot, here's these guys doing hip hop over rock and roll. And then in 85, we really had balls because we named our album Kings of Rock. We didn't say King of Rap. So our black audience was like, "Oh, Run DMC selling out this and that." But you know who loved us for King of Rock? All the rock guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
Motorhead, Lemmy, Bon Jovi, everybody in rock at that time. Skid Row, all of those bands said, "These dudes have the balls to call themselves the Kings of Rock. We like that." So for us, it was kind of they accepted us when the whole world was like, "Oh, hip hop's a fad. It ain't going to be here in 87. Oh, where you going to be at in 3 years?" So, but what we did was already happened. And from the beginning of Rockbox to King of Rock all the way to Walk This Way, when Rockbox first came out, there was a lot of black kids in New York City who were scared to wear their Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt, who were scared to wear all the metal. Black kids in New York in the late 60s and 70s was listening to metal, heavy metal and rock and all of that. But they were afraid what their friends on the hip hop block would think of them. So when Rockbox came out, it opened up the floodgates for the white kids to love hip hop and for the black kids to love metal because it was happening anyway. Run DMC was just bold enough to do it. Like we didn't invent none of this. we were just bold enough to do it and not care.
Dude, it's not just I don't know much about how the walls that broke down around the world, because at that time the world was my own house. I only had four walls that I understood, and I know it was a generational shift. That song and that collaboration, "Walk This Way,"
Yeah,
was it almost opened my eyes to my father going, "Oh, these guys are cool." Like
right,
you're talking a 50, 55, 6-year-old
right,
man, and I'm jamming this music as a teenager.
right.
This was an opportunity for him who grew up on Zeppelin and the Stones and all these guys.
Yep.
And it was an opportunity for him to see in the light of what the potential was.
Right, because they thought we were just hip hop gibberish.
Yes.
Yeah, they would say,
I
"Oh,
mean,
it's just
being
talking. It doesn't take any
Right.
skill, all that." Yeah, and
Exactly,
and now
exactly.
it's like the best music. It's the most sustained. It's the most
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
It's
And
yeah,
most people don't know. Look at the Beasties catalog. They rapped over When the Levee Breaks. It was Zeppelin. It was Rush. Tom Sawyer. Run DMC's Walk This Way. Rock and roll is a big part of hip hop, just as big as James Brown. It's just that James Brown was heavily sampled because people were so focused on his funky drummer beats. James Brown always gave you a funky break in his records. So naturally for these kids, we ran to the James Brown records because that's what our parents was playing. When it was time for us to look for something to rap over, we went to disco. As much as people hated disco, people loved disco until somebody woke up and said disco sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But disco, and here's what's crazy. Two of the biggest rock and roll bands in the world wanted to jump on a disco bandwagon. Queen and Rolling Stones. Queen made Another One Bites the Dust, boom, boom, boom. Another One Bites the Dust, because they had to get in the disco. If they didn't make that, they would do it was separate. So when they made that, Freddie Mercury and them, y'all down with y'all could come to Studio 54 now. The Rolling Stones made Miss You. But when disco sucked, people didn't get tired of disco because the music was bad.
you kind of
People got
evolved
tired.
too.
People got tired of that whole lifestyle of Rolls Royces, sex, drugs, partying. The Studio 54 was heaven. Hollywood had nothing on New York. Let's be straight, because Hollywood was coming to New York City to party at Studio 54. The athletes, entertainers, actors, actresses, rock stars, the rich people. It was all about Studio 54. Studio 54 perception to the world was a false representation of what was real, right? Everybody thought, oh, everything in New York is good until the message came out.
Yeah, it was just Steve Rubell's Unicorn, and he
Right,
just
but
judged who
think
came
about
through
it.
the
The
door.
message came out, told the truth. Broken glass everywhere. People pissing on the station. No, I just don't care. Don't push me, cause I'm close. So when Grandmaster Flash said that, people was like, "Oh my God, New York City isn't heaven. It's effed up like everywhere else." So then everybody started gravitating to what these young hip hoppers were doing, and it wasn't just music. It was the breakdancing. It was graffiti. It was the fashion. Like it was inevitable for hip hop to become as big as it is now, because why is hip hop considered the new rock and roll? Because we stole from it. Stupid. You know what I'm saying? All of these new rappers saying, yeah, we're the new rock stars. No, you ain't. You're part of the thing that you wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the rock stars who gave us the beats and rhymes to rap over. See, people forget the history. They're like, look at me now. You know what I'm saying? So the hip hop always had a responsibility to live up to the expectations of who we took from. Now hip hop don't care. They just make you whatever they want, put it out, and if you get 1,000 likes, it's all good. But deep down inside of us, the reason why Run DMC, NWA, Public Enemy, Naughty by Nature, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Slick Rick, the reason why our music at a young age was so good, because we wanted our elders to respect us.
And you were also taking a risk, and I feel now there's not the risk in hip hop that there once was. And like you said, as far as sampling, some people are sampling songs and they're getting a hit song based on the sample, because the young generation's never even heard it before.
Right, without putting the work in. Right, exactly. And it was a golden rule. Like if you listen to hip hop right now, 99.9% of it sounds the same.
Same, yep.
That could never. The reason why our generation was so excited, you had Run DMC, But you also had LL, you had De La Soul, you had Tribe Called Quest, you had Slick Rick, you had Big Daddy Kane.
All
You know what I'm
different.
saying? Yeah, Rakim. We were all rapping, but everybody was, you had the Beastie Boys. Everybody was doing the rap thing, but it was different. Now, 99.9% of all hip hop, the music, the flows, the subject matter all sound the same. So, of course, it's going to be big because it's everywhere. It's not advancing us though. You know what I'm saying? Instead, everybody's rapping now. Like there's so many rappers now, people who ain't rapping are superstar rappers.
No, and it seems they care more. Like yours was the fashion, but now it's this overblown. Like I don't know. It's a lot of like white kids with face tattoos and like
Yeah,
multicolored hair,
trying
and
to
like it's a
right. They
little.
trying to be Sid Vicious, but don't have the passion
Mhm.
and the complexity and the
Authenticity.
authenticity. Right, exactly. It's like, oh wow, if we all dress like Sid Vicious, we could be famous. And the stupid ass consumers,
Yeah.
oh, that's what you're supposed to do. Like you can have a hit rap song and not even rap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the mumblecore stuff, which I'm just not into, and I'm not saying there's no talent in that entire
Yeah, yeah, no,
bracket.
it is what I know what you're saying,
Yeah,
right? There should be one supreme mumble king
Yeah.
who mumbles better than Slick Rick.
right.
No, you said it. You
But
said
it's
it.
not. It's like I mumble, you mumble, we all mumble, and we all could do the same thing. Our whole thing was, okay, we did that last week. What can I do this week to
Yeah,
take
and
it
it's like you
somewhere
said with
else?
depression, or like I'm a comic with depression, you know, and when points in my life suicidal, like you were, and I not that I'm comparing myself. You're far more known than I'll ever be, but but when it
No,
comes
we're all
down
the
to that,
same. We're all
like
the same.
yeah, they kind of, but the rappers now kind of embrace this sort of sadness, and people say it's real, which just makes it more phony. Where I think the real
Right, right,
artists were
right,
the
right. The
ones that
guy,
went
right,
out and kicked ass, even though they felt like
right.
shit.
See, at the time, people embrace the thing that people think is the thing. It's the it thing to do. I don't care if you're rock and roll, R&B, funk, punk, or whatever. You got to do something completely different. Like my thing was this: when I came into hip hop, it was about keeping it real, right? But I can't come and talk about street gangs and selling drugs and going to jail because I never did that. But with the same attitude, the same way somebody talks about, I got my gun and I got my bitches and hoes, right? It's the same attitude that I'm gonna come and talk about going to school. I'm DMC in the place to be. I went to St. John's University. Since kindergarten, I acquired the knowledge. After 12th grade, I went straight to college. You know, after I
Yeah,
said that, I really wanted to say
awesome.
college, motherfucker,
Yeah.
but I didn't. I held back. But by me not cursing and doing what they would do, it had a different effect. It was like, yo, what the, yo, this shit is dope. What is that? You know what I'm
I think
saying?
you nailed it right when you said, the Beastie Boys with their approach to things,
Yep.
they didn't try and emulate a culture.
Right.
They just were themselves, and for that
Yep.
reason, they popped. The
Right.
problem is there's only so many of those unique individuals, such as you guys and your crew, every 100 years. So the next generation of people coming in to piggyback on that will take whatever that sparks
Well,
in
well,
you
well, no,
and
it's
try and
right
fake.
there, 100% right, because they want the easy way out.
Yeah, and also
They
it's
exist now. They exist now,
yeah,
but they do exist now. But the problem is, negativity is a false sense of power. But in this day and age, especially here in America, Japan, Europe, you know, Germany, London, and all that stuff, they see through all the bullshit. They don't like that commercial, successful rap shit.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They love getting the money for showbiz. But I'm talking about when they coming at you as an artist, if this guy's coming out and he sells 10 million this way, it's okay now for everybody else to do that to achieve those same goals.
Right.
You know, like in most things, when Run DMC came out with The Rock, everybody knew they couldn't touch it. It's just a rule. You can't, then you're biting. You know, in the 50s and 60s, 70s, it was copycat. 70s and 80s, 90s, you're a biter. You can't, oh man, you're trying to sound like Run. That's fake. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're going to use rock, you better use it in the way Run DMC never used it, such as a Public Enemy. You know what I'm saying? To take the
Yeah,
loud
that was a
noise.
different level of it where that was almost, yeah, like a little harder, a little more.
Yeah, no, they was. They said they were Chuck. If you look at Chuck and Hank, the Bomb Squad, Hank, Hank Shockley, Keith Shockley. They said we were trying to be harder than Run DMC. And the reason why they succeeded and were just as hard because they did something different. You got to remember, Ice Cube, who was the writing brains behind NWA damn near, when he left NWA and went solo, where did he go? He came to New York City to work with the Bomb Squad, who was doing Public Enemy. And Ice Cube put out America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
So even them, they gave Ice Cube a bigger oomph than NWA, but in a different way. You know what I'm saying? So now, put it like this. If you remember, in the early 80s, the majority of rap songs that were playing in the clubs kind of did sound all alike until Run DMC came along. A lot of those records had the disco samples. It was all bass lines. It was all rappers delights. It was all hibbity hobbity hibbity.
Yeah, it was a lot more slower paced.
Yeah,
and it wasn't as exciting. Yeah,
came out, right, it wasn't exciting.
Right.
Then when the message came out, every record after the message for that whole first year was a message song. Life in the Ghetto, Growing Up in the Ghetto. Run DMC did It's Like That and Hard Times. We jumped on the bandwagon too. But while we were doing that, we made Sucker MC. Why did Sucker MC did what Rockbox and Walk This Way was about to do, but in a different way. When everybody was rapping over music, Jay wasn't even down yet. Me running Davey DMX and Larry Smith, we just did a song with a beat. No music, and me and Run Rhyme. 2 years ago, just over the beat, the whole world went crazy. So we kind of broke the rules. Our basic thing was say, yo, you can rap, but do you. Do you. So for me, I can't be a gangbanger because I was never a gangbanger. Like I tell kids, I go to speak at schools now, and they looking at me, and I'm saying, yo, man, I didn't change the world when I was 50. I didn't change it when I was 40. I didn't change it when I was 30. I said I was 18 years old when me running Jay changed the world. I was like, yeah, oh, you must have been because you're the same age as my father. But then I got to tell them, look, I said, you calling old school what old school? I said, look what I did when I was 18 and look at the nonsense your favorite rapper's doing that when he was 18.
Yeah, fuck them.
That's why you might not hear me on the radio and you might not see me on MTV anymore, but that's why they still talk about me.
Yeah.
What do you, like, can I ask if has there been a recreation of yourself since changing and adapting, sobering up and realizing all of these things about yourself and reinventing yourself? Is that happening from an artistic standpoint as well?
I mean, no, not really, because all the new music that I'm doing now, I'm doing a lot of collaborations, and I got collaborations with Sammy Hagar. I got collaborations with Joan Jett. I got
Ice-T coming up too, right?
Me, Ice-T, Chuck D, Jazzy Jeff, and Bumpy Knuckles on a record. Like I ain't playing. Like
that's awesome.
And we coming with new music, you know what I'm saying? Dave Navarro, Bumblefoot. So all I'm doing now is what I'm doing before. But you see, the things that a lot of rappers get caught up in, when they get 50 years old, they still making songs like they would make when they was 20. Mm-hmm. No, I'm a grown-ass man. The song is going to bang like King of Rock, but I'm going to be talking about what I'm going through now.
Right, of course.
So it's not a reinvention of self, it's an elevation of self. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to, I'm not trying to make Sucker MCs over again. But if I do it, I'm going to put a rock guitar with it, and I'm going to be talking about something else that's going in my life besides going to St. John's, because I don't go there no more. But it's relative. So it's relatively all the same, though. You know, it's just a different expression. It's growth. You got to show the growth in your music.
Yeah, and I think
I love rock and roll.
Oh yeah, and it's like, but there's such, and you can always spot it too. There's a difference between an elevation of a human being who uses a certain art form, and just the elevation of somebody trying to evolve with the music. And that always seems
I don't see myself rapping over. Well, a lot of the beats that's out now is really dope. I just can't understand. Is that all they could think of to put on this beat?
Yeah.
You know, because if you look back at the 80s, we was doing that, the Dirty South Sound, we was already doing that. You know, from Run DMC to Mantronics, we was doing that 808. When we did Dumb Girl. When we did Run DMC together forever, together, Run DMC, and we're tougher than leather. We dropped the 808s. Those sounds existed in the Mantronics. Mantronics was already doing what all of these guys doing now. The thing is now, nobody makes songs anymore. See, that's the difference. Everybody's rapping now. But nobody's making songs, songs that my Adidas, I remember that. Rebel Without a Pause, I remember that. Cypress Hill, How Killer Man. Nobody's making songs anymore. Everybody's a star in it, but it's all for the same type of music. We're not against that, but our era was about, like, Run DMC, we would come home and go, yo, did you hear what Cool G Rap put out last week?
Yeah.
But if you're
growing up, like, in my most influential years, like, which is the teenage years where you're impacted by music because you want to revolt to your parents and to
that's what it's about.
You're too young and too dumb to know what the fuck is going on, so you attach yourself to people that have been through a little more than you and have a voice and have a beat to it so that you can understand and absorb it, but you still don't know what to do with it. During that time period, I can only remember a handful of artists from different genres that impacted me and my voice and my energy at that time. Right. And nowadays, fuck you. I mean, you go on Spotify or iTunes, just in one simple genre, you have 10 or 12 top 10 guys that every week. There's no There's no isolated star that you can count on to listen to. Like in sports growing up, you had that local station DJ. You listened to his voice, you felt like home, trusted him. In television, you had your anchor that did news, right? And in music, you had your hip hop guy, you had your rock and roll guy, you had your R&B
your heavy metal guy, your R&B guy, for real.
One or two per genre, and nowadays I don't know where to fucking go. And
every 2 weeks there's somebody new to say, who the hell is this guy now? Yeah. Right, exactly.
Yeah, and then you turn on the oldies station, you're like, is this Pearl Jam? And then like just stuff that you would never assume would even be on an oldies station. You can't find anything. Like it's all I'm with you. And I think the problem too is now it's like you said earlier. It's about likes. And when you're trying to do something so instantly for likes, you're not doing anything that has heart to it. You're just doing something for face value fame, which is, it's nothing. I mean, it just means nothing. And that's, I guess that's what bothers me. And also, it's what I loved about the generation that you came from is it united black and white culture together the way that it had never been done. And all of a sudden we were peeking into each other's lives and it became very friendly, and
you're 100% right.
And it feels like now it's beginning, so it's a divide, and I think that's scary, and it sucks because it meant so much to me, that kind of music, to be able to look into a life, and I grew up on the border of Detroit. I saw both sides of it, but it was amazing to be able to just hear different people talk about different places, like I didn't know anything about New York.
Collectively, we're all great. Even the audience was part of it. You know what I'm saying? That don't exist no more. Everybody's brainwashed thinking they have to be stars. No, collectively, even though Run DMC was the face of it, Public Enemy was incredible. Beastie Boys, people loved when we came to the towns together. I mean, I remember one time I was in LA. This probably was about maybe 20 years ago. I'm in LA. And Suge Knight, we was in a sushi restaurant eating, and we went. It's busy restaurant, right? Packed. So we in there eating. It's about 6:30 in the afternoon because we always eat early because we go to bed early. So Suge Knight walks in, and the whole restaurant gets quiet. And we looked up, yo, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? It's Suge Knight. So Suge Knight comes over and he sits down, and he got his cigar and everything, and he's smoking. And he said, and Suge Knight says, he said, you know what was beautiful about y'all when y'all used to come in on your tours? You know what I'm saying? I was like, what, Suge? He was like, the beautiful thing about that, y'all always together. Like, you know what I'm saying? They looked at what we was doing with this hip hop, and everybody was eating, everybody was getting money. You know what I'm saying? We was touring together, and it was grand for everybody. And I guess what he was trying to say, somehow, when anything that's commercial, that's respected by a culture, a group of people, will get diluted, polluted, and destroyed once it becomes commercialized.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
the only few musics that I saw, certain amount of musics that I see that don't allow that to happen to the music, punk for one, jazz, rock in some ways, because rock don't get to shine, but it still exists. Like I tour with Dave Navarro and Chris Chaney and Sebastian Bach monthly. We always on the road doing stuff. But if you look at go-go music from DC, go-go music to this day, the people will never let anything get above it. Even in '86, we would come to DC. They would, we love you, Run DMC. Yo, Run, we love you, but y'all got to go now because it's time for us to go. So it shows you that we are in control of it. So if we're listening to these radio stations and every 15 minutes is the same 6 records, there's a problem with that. Yeah. Now, it's not a problem with the radio station. It's a problem with the audience for allowing that to go on. But it happens so much that the young kids don't know no better. They become hypnotized by it. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not playing as much as Drake, then that means I don't exist.
Right. Yeah.
Which is not good. You know what I'm saying? Which is not true. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we have this weird thing where people don't look back either, and that's what's interesting to me.
All right.
Yeah,
they don't care now because it's about the now. I can understand that too. You know what I'm saying?
I get it, but to see where it came from, there's so much. I mean, that's what I feel sad for is like whatever dominates right now, you're not sure what platform it's even dominating on. It's got to be confusing.
That's a whole nother thing. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. It's like an R&B singer used to be an R&B singer, not a guy that can't sing that's rapping. No, that's what it is now. I'm not trying to drag it. R&B singer used to be Keith Sweat.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It used to be Luther.
Nothing better.
Not a young kid that looks good that could dance if he's choreographing, but he's making rap songs that he can't even sing, so they got to use this voice machine thing. What's the voice?
The auto tune.
That's not auto tune. Yeah, it's so crazy how things get diluted and polluted. No, and like I said, they do exist. Like the rapper guys that stand out the box. Kendrick, of course, but Chance the Rapper. Mm-hmm. Guys like that, they're unique in their own right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think like Run the Jewels stands out a bit because
Run the Jewels stands out big time, but they're so positive that the knuckleheads don't want to listen to them.
Yeah, that's
Run
why.
the Jewels is better than everybody.
No, it's a really
interesting But the knuckleheads don't know what they're saying. And most of the knuckleheads only know Run the Jewels because they're famous.
Yeah, and they don't realize they
don't
care
know
so
about
much.
What the music is saying, like, you know what I'm saying? What they're talking about affects you. What Run the Jewels is talking about, the general hip hop audience don't know that affects you when you leave the strip club. Of course, it's not gonna play in the strip club, but when you leave the strip club and there's no naked girls and you're not getting high and you're living your 9-to-5 life, you need to look for Run the Jewels for some direction, which hip hop used to give you that without you. Everywhere you looked, there was something for you. Like Will Smith, parents can't understand what's relevant to the gangbanger and the Harvard kid. Because parents don't understand. I don't care if you're a gangbanger and you still have my parents is nagging me. It was all about feelings. The Beasties and Run DMC, peer pressure, my brother. I fell in love with my teacher. I like Godzilla movies. Oh, I want to eat an ice cream cone. Those things are significant into the survival and elevation and evolution of a culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it don't exist right now. You got dudes who are in college talking about they sip lean and smoke blunts just to be accepted. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And they might have the big record. And then you go in their neighborhood and say, man, he never went to jail in his life. That's peanut. I grew up when we went to Catholic school together. See, I went to Catholic school my whole life, so I don't want to be 55 years old and you come up and pull my card.
Yeah, no.
You can't hurt me now. I've never sold a drug in my life. I took a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's weird too is they're all named after benzodiazepines and muscle relaxers and shit.
So I mean, it's a unique time. So I just hope, you know what's going to happen. I think coming out of this pandemic, when shows do start opening up again, I think people are open now to that diversity as opposed to just the hot thing now. I think people are going to learn the values: timeless, sincere, quality over
Quality, right,
quantity. You know what
right.
I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, Dave and I go over this all the time about the quantity of shows watched and content consumed, especially during quarantine. People are just looking for a real voice, whether
Exactly.
that's in comedy or television or
Yeah,
music.
comedy, television, for movies, entertainment. I think it's going to be a real. I think it's going to be a real renaissance of creativity
Hmm.
and how Hollywood utilizes it too.
And how
You know,
Hollywood doesn't
this
have the power that they used to have anymore
at all,
either.
right?
Yeah,
Exactly. You don't need them.
yeah,
You
they're gonna
got your
come on,
iPhone.
which I love, to be honest, because
Yeah,
that's
it
gonna
puts the
let.
power in the creator's hands. Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. Like my whole thing, what I don't use my Instagram. I only use it when my manager tells me to.
right.
You know, even at that day and age, and you have so many sales, this and that. And so if I was a guy going for sales, then I would utilize it. I was never about sales. I put circumc out. You like it, you buy it. I'm not going to force you to buy it. But now I'm looking at Instagram. Even I want to use my Instagram. Damn near when you come on my Instagram, it ain't about, hey, I've had dinner last night. I'm working out right now, or I'm flying on a plane. No, I want you to come on my Instagram, and I want you to see like episodes.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like episodes of DMC in the studio with Joan Jett.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's what the hell DMC doing? What the hell is DMC doing with Mick Moore? You know what I'm saying? I want to do episodes and adventure. I'm also thinking about using my Instagram and not even showing myself. I want my Instagram to be DMC TV. My tagline is what MTV used to be. They don't show videos on MTV no more.
no,
I mean, we can actually sue MTV for false advertising.
you'd
They
be.
still call it music television. It's nothing but reality
Oh,
shows.
it's nonsense,
Right?
and it's.
Think about it. We know it should be RTV, right? Reality TV. So what I want to do is DMC TV, and I want to show videos the same way all in the 80s when you would be sitting at home and you'd be like, what the hell is the Rolling Stones doing with Run DMC?
Mhm.
Because that's what happened. People didn't know who Aerosmith was, but they
Yeah,
knew Mick Jagger now. So when Walk This Way came out, I mean, I talked to people, I talked to kids that, man, me and my family was hillbillies, man.
Mhm.
From up in the mountains of the Ozarks, man. And I came home with my cassette tape and I played it for my dad.
yeah,
And my dad first said he didn't like it, but then he started listening. Like you
Yeah.
said, man, these guys are cool, man.
Yeah. So
And
just
then and then when
yeah.
they found out that I was with Steven Tyler, like these
Yeah.
guys, man, I didn't
Yeah,
get to
you're
meet
accepted.
Steven Tyler. It did something to you, you know what I'm saying? So what I wanted to say was music used to be an experience for us. Why? It was to our ears, but it was also visual. But it also when you was able to touch the album covers and the CD covers,
Mm.
that I love.
you could
I
read
miss
it. It
that.
was a 3D, right? It was an experience.
Yeah.
Now it's just a one-dimensional experience. Push the button, hear the music. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
didn't take you nowhere. It wasn't an experience. So I'm trying to, since I've been quarantined, I'm trying to look at everything that everybody's utilizing. They say it's necessary. Like maybe I did miss 20 million sales by not being an Instagram hound like the Kardashians. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I did. But I think I have a greater effect to somebody
Mhm.
when they meet me in person.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
everybody that's not looking at me now, look, I'm 55. I plan to be rocking and rolling until I'm 3,451 years old. And I'm not going to die. I'm just going to leave and go back to my intergalactic universe because I'm really a superhero. I'm just here because I'm digging hip hop and rock and roll. But you got these kids now who are 18. When they get 28, and they ain't drinking lean and smoking blunts anymore. When they're 28 years old, I'll be maybe what 68 or something like that.
Yeah.
So if they want to come to see a good show, if man, that old school guy DMC is playing down at the blues joint tomorrow night, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go see, and they're gonna
Fuck
go
yeah.
see. They're gonna learn why I was so deadly at 18.
Yeah.
So generationally, there's no such thing as a generation gap. It's an information gap. Everything ain't mixed and shared artistically anymore. It's separated. You know what I'm saying?
It's separated for the reason you just stated, that there's a lot, like with the age of technology, there's a lack in the human touch. So like
Right.
even when
Yep.
you'd open up a Guns N' Roses CD and you'd pull out the slide and you'd have like a small poster
Yeah.
you could put over and then you'd listen to
Right.
the words and you could attach
Yes.
yourself to all of it. There was
Yep.
a touch and a feel and a moment
Right.
that are etched in my mind forever. And now you lose all that with a download of a
Yep.
click of a button, and they're not
Yep.
talking to you. They're talking to anybody to get $1 in their own pocket. They don't
Right.
talk about you.
Exactly.
Felt like these artists, regardless if they did or not, were speaking to the youth or speaking to
Yep.
a change in the world, trying to provide some sense of camaraderie. And
Yes, exactly.
I feel for you, man. It must be tough looking back on you guys laying the groundwork for the right way, so to speak, and seeing such a lull and a void of that same mentality amongst the majority of music.
Right.
You
Right.
got Kendricks, you got Jay-Z's, you got Nas, you got all
Right.
these legends that continue through decades, some fucking how.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it must be exhausting for you to watch what's transpired in the past 15, 20
I mean, I really don't watch it. I mean, everything that I listen to now is the so-called classic rock. But you gotta understand something. Classic doesn't mean old. Classic rock means better than everything that comes after it for eternity.
That's a good
Same
point.
thing about old school. So let's get that straight.
Yeah,
you know,
for
so
sure.
I listen to classic rock. I listen to everything up to like the Nirvana, Pearl Jam era. You know what I'm saying? There's a few new discoveries that somebody, man, you got to go listen to Pentagram. I think Pentagram is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Motorhead, I listen to that. And most of the hip hop I listen to, believe it or not, is everything before Rapper's Delight. Like I listen to all of the live performances of Grandmaster Flash, Treacherous 3, Cold Crush 4, Funky 4 Plus One, Africa Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation, Spoonie G, Busy B, Love Bug Starsky. I listen to all the live performances from like 78 to like 81.
Dude, I love how like the Rapper's Delight, the famous video, is filmed on like a VHS and like a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy, right? Yeah, the Chuck E. Cheese
R.I.P.
days.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But you know, it's still fun, and most of the people that come from that era or generation, even when they're younger, you know, like I get a lot of kids. Man, I was 5 years old when my dad first played Walk This Way, and this and that. So, in addition to listening to you know, Drake and the Baby and Nicki Minaj and they put on Run DMC, they put on Rakim, they listen to that because, like you said, they can relate to it. We're talking to them because their guys ain't talking to them. I remember when we was doing a talk at Roosevelt High School. Me and Chuck D was speaking to the senior class and stuff like that. And Chuck D was like, "Man, y'all don't know. You know, Eddie Murphy went to the school. You know, I went to the school, and he was naming all the people. Julius Irvin went to the school. They was naming all these people, and the kids, you know, it's not their generation, but they was like, wow, they went there with me. But then Chuck asked them a question. He was like, "Yo, how old do you think I think he was saying Nicki Minaj or Cardi B or one of them. And he was like, how old do you think, you know, Cardi B is? Cardi B's 25 years old. You know what I'm saying? So what she's doing at 25, you young boys or girls 16 and 17 and 18, y'all could be doing that now, but y'all need to be talking about what y'all do. Like Jay-Z does have the G6 jet, you don't.
Right.
So don't make a song about your G6 and your G5. Make a song about your hoopty that you work at Target and you work at the old folks home just to keep that car looking shining with those rims. You make a record about that, there's maybe 22 million people who can relate. That's the 22 million people you want to buy your song. Like even now, I don't make a song to get the 10 million people that brought Eminem's album. And I love Eminem. I'm not, oh my God, I don't make a song now because Eminem's current now and he sells 10 million. My songs is for the 10 billion that didn't buy his.
Hell yeah.
Right.
So it's always challenging me. You know what I'm saying?
I ate grilled cheese in my underwear last night at midnight, so I know how to attach myself to my audience.
Yes.
Yeah. It's one thing I nailed down. Did you? One question I want to ask you: your change in sobriety and your audience and your perspective and just in life, aging. Obviously, you want to talk about going through these days. Has there been a dramatic shift in looking back in how you attack your process? Like I look back at 5 years, 10 years, at things that I've created, and
Right.
some of them I'm very proud of. Others I'm like, well, as part of the learning curve,
Right.
they're like stagnant, issues or consistencies among your creative process that you try and latch onto that you can teach me and give me for free is what I mean.
Well, I mean, there's a multitude of stuff that I did that I hated because I wasn't doing it because I wanted to do it. A lot of stuff comes from D. Like if I go from this perspective, and quarantine has been good to me now because I find myself 12 years old in my bedroom again, which is what I used to do. You know what I'm saying? I used to just stay in my room and I used to just write rhymes. So the first 3 days of quarantine, I had anxiety. I was losing. Oh my God, I had all this fear. But then I realized something calm came over me because I realized I was back at that place where I was over 52 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And 42 years ago. And I used to just sit in my room and write the rhymes because it felt good. A lot of those rhymes became my hit records that I was just writing, not to get to hit record, not even to, just because of I got a rhyme, put it on a record, it's a hit. That works for me. During my career, put it like this: after Raising Hell for Run DMC, it became D. You need to write this so you can be on the radio. D, you need to write this so you could be #1 on Billboard. D, you need to write this so you can make money touring. So a lot of the pressures of drinking was living up to other people's expectations of what I could do in with my hands tied behind my back, blindfolded in my sleep, and it's going to be good. But once I put their expectations before it, things started going haywire.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So now it's just like when I wrote my Adidas, and this is crazy. When I wrote my Adidas, it wasn't to get a sneaker deal, but it got me one. Like one of my new rhymes, a kid was trying to diss me one day at a high school. He was like, "Yo, Run DMC, you guys are old school. You guys are over." And I said, "Thank you." He was like, "Huh?" I said, "Yes, I'm over. Thank you." I said, "I just came over from England last week. I'm going over to Singapore tomorrow. I'll be over in Moscow the week after that." So the whole gym went bananas.
Yeah.
And then he tried to say something, you ain't cool as 50 and Jay-Z and Kanye West. And I said, "Listen, man, no curls, no braids, PZ head and still get paid. I am the reason why Yeezys can get made." Oh, yeah, they was like, "Yo, those are bars right there." And the reason why one kid was like, "Yo, not only that, but that shit's true." Like, so when we did Adidas, we wasn't trying to be the first non-athletic entity to receive a major endorsement from a sports apparel company. But see, that's where the power was. When we did Rockbox, we wasn't trying, let's do rock and roll so white people could like us. Nah, we did rock and roll because rock and roll is dope.
Well, because you were singing about how I got style, not I got class, or I got cash. You know what I mean?
Right,
so then
yeah,
that's what
exactly,
what changed it.
exactly.
And it's like you said, the authenticity, even with Jay-Z. Like, yeah, it started a crack dealing, but now it's like I'm with Beyonce, and I have a private jet.
It's
earned.
always right. It's always evolution. But when you look at it, and it's funny when you say the rock and roll. Look back in the '70s. Led Zeppelin Ben had a jet.
Right.
So for us, it wasn't for us to the jet would come if it would come, but when people look at what we did to get it, see, that was the significance. Even though we were young kids, like I said, we wanted Tina Turner, and when we went to the first MTV Music Awards, when we walked down the red carpet, nobody asked us, "Who's your stylist? Who's your designer?" They never said, "DMC, where you get your gold change from." They knew we won. But they would ask us, and if you go back and check all those interviews, why are you young people making the music that you're making? Why are you saying what you were saying? What is making you say like that? That was the key. That was success to us right then and there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me now, I realize it's got to be the same thing. It's got to be like BB King, rest in peace. Eric Clapton, Slash, David Grohl. The more I tell kids like this, I said, y'all try to play me like I'm old and over. Yeah. But y'all forget something. The more you do something, the better you get. And I got a bigger head start than you got. And then, what do you mean by that? I said, when you first get a video game, young man, when you first get that war, what's the Gears of War, for instance? When you first get it, you're not good at it.
Yeah.
You're getting killed every minute. But 7 days into it, you good, right?
Yeah,
So
imagine
don't play
20
me. I
years.
say, what? I think when you look at rock and roll and when you look at jazz, it's like you said, nobody gives props to the ones before them. You know, if Wynton and Branson Marsalis had a chance to sit in the room with Miles Davis, they're gonna sit there and shut up.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I was backstage at Public Enemy's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, right? So we in the backstage there, and backstage is Chuck D, John Fogerty, Tom Petty, Tom Morello.
It's amazing.
Who else was back there? Chris Cornell, and everybody's back there, and they're talking, and they're loving me and Chuck for the rap thing that we did, but we loving them because of all those beats and that music that they gave us. And it was nobody was above anybody. You know what I'm saying? John Fogerty looked over at me and said, "Man, I like those hats." Like, yo, I like those hats, and that's signaling. You know, that's the thing that we wanted. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, you're on the
John
same level
Fogerty
as
loves
Credence,
me.
and you guys
But
weren't
even
even
with
known about.
even
Yeah.
even with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the people of that great institution, I'm talking about the fans of rock and roll, they have their little beef of why hip hop has got to be in a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? And, they don't play instruments, this and that, whatever. But I say this every time. I say, look, if y'all feel that way, don't put me in there, right? But getting in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a hip hop artist isn't the achievement. First of all, they putting me in way before other people that should be in, so I can't respect it. I like the honor. I'm a respect the honor, but it ain't in my system. Why? Because there's something greater that you're missing. Okay, I got the award sitting over here now, right? But you know what's the greatest achievement? Just to be considered worthy enough for induction is the victory. That's the victory. Nobody teasing the net. Now, speaking about it, I remember when Gene Simmons, I love Gene, he's very vocal about his opinion. He F all these rappers going in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I agreed with him. From this standpoint, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was set up for rock bands. So technically what they should have did was there should have been a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for rock band musicians and singers. Then they should have had, but if they would have did that, then they would have had soul music annex, funk annex. Like, you gonna tell me James Brown ain't rock and roll? So they couldn't separate like that. So I remember when I got inducted in '09, I went over there to ask, I wanted to get to the root of the problem. I went over there and asked them and said, what do y'all feel about the whole hip hop? There should be only bands and musicians. They said, D, let me tell you something. And they said this, the head guy of the Rock and Roll of Fame, he looks at me, and this was the coolest thing he could ever say. He said, D, if you play the flute, now he didn't say if you play the flute in a band. He said, if you play the flute, woo, 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 just a flute. He said, if you play the flute and you able to sell out Madison Square Garden, that's some rock and roll shit right there. So I get it. It should be the Music Hall of Fame. But because the rock and roll is significant, right? So when the whole thing came up with Run DMC coming, because they're like, how could Rakim go in? He's a rapper. How could Biggie go in? He's a rapper. When that whole thing came up with Run DMC did get a pass. Like the majority of it was 60-40, 40% fuck Run DMC, but 60%, I'm talking about those Walk This Way, King of Rock, Rockbox fans, the ones that know this about Run DMC. Most of my hits were rock songs. Walk This Way, King of Rock, Rockbox, but also Mary Mary was a monkey sample. Oh, yeah. It's a rock song. It's Tricky. It's My Sharona. So most of my hits was a rock song, and most people said Run DMC should get a pass, because if it's coming to musicians, the only thing that wasn't alive on Run DMC tracks was the drum machine. We programmed the beat to get the hip hop feel.
Yeah.
But Eddie Martinez from Quiet Riot played on King of Rock and Rockbox. Rick Rubin, who was the DJ manager and producer of the Beastie Boys, played guitar on our Mary Marys and our Masharon. We had real guitar players and bass players the whole time. The only thing that wasn't alive on our records was we used the drum machine to create the hip hop beats. So from that perspective, I'm like, okay, I'm really the king of rock. Like look, if rap never gets in from my little 15-year-old rhyme writing imagination, it's blasphemy not to let me in because I called myself the king of rock and y'all said I am.
Yeah.
To them, like if my lawyer had to go debate why an Inuit, isn't it a rock record? Is this not a rock song? I mean, our rock was so rock and roll that it wasn't good. Rick Rubin didn't like King of Rock and Rockbox because he said it wasn't real rock, but that's why people love it. It was us trying to be real rock stars.
Whenever something's innovative, that's you don't know what
just
it
to
is
do
in the
it, right? It
beginning.
was just to do it. It was shitty.
Yeah.
It was these black hip hop kids thinking they were rock stars who really became rock stars because we believed it.
Well,
I read an article
and
with,
you guys are well, we're about to, I don't want to get cut off. Our machine will cut off in like
Okay.
5 minutes. But
Okay.
I just want to, sorry, Tommy, you can ask just a question real quick. I just
Yes.
wanted to Tommy, you go ahead, then I'll ask for
Okay.
plugs. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna, just one note on that is there's a commonality of other common hip hop artists that are going through the same type of confusion in terms of genre, and they're getting snubbed for, I think it was Tyler, the creator.
Yeah, they got to create more genres for hip hop. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
so
Like,
he's
it's
apparently,
got to be alternative hip hop.
yeah, and they're not getting listed for pop at some point.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so
I call a lot of these rappers punk pussy pop stars.
yeah, right.
They ain't Cool G rap. You're not ad rock.
Yeah.
So let's
Go
create
ahead.
something where they can flourish and
Yeah.
Go ahead,
be
Dave. End this
respectful.
off,
Yeah,
brother.
they're just not good at a bunch of different things.
Right.
That's the genre.
Exactly.
I
And you
fucking
can't-
feel that genre.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I just want to grab plugs. Well, I'm honored because I'm actually on an album with this legend, which, believe me, when I was
I love your skit.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it, dude. I never thought that I'd be
DMC Speedwagon and REO Speedwagon.
yeah.
Every group you said, I knew.
Yeah, I named off every initial just to make fun of Rick.
Because they think
who I
white
love.
guys don't know hip hop. They think black guys don't know rock. So
Exactly.
everything they think you don't know that you do know, I do know as a black. So it's all like it's the yin and yang, the vice versa.
Yeah,
I love this skit. I think it's the
appreciate
best thing on the album, actually.
I appreciate it because that's what I wrote it from, was the idea that I wouldn't know, where it's like, no, it's DMC from Run DMC, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's not DMC from AC/DC. Thanks for clearing that up, you stupid. So
and when people hear that, because I always wear AC/DC shirts, it's going to be it has a deeper relativity than you think it does. I always wear AC/DC shirts, so everything that you said on that album fits to what really exists. And it was brilliant that Dirty White thought of doing an hip hop album using rock tracks. Like, that's brilliant.
It's so good too. The song you guys did together is absolutely incredible. And
For Your Love and stuff.
yeah.
It's
And
amazing.
if you guys want to check out Dirty White, it's called Authentic. It's so good, man. And then what else do you have coming up that we can promote? I know I guess touring's a little off, but I know, like you said, you're doing some stuff with a lot of people.
I got some music coming out. I got 3 projects coming out. I got a hip hop project coming out. Most of the songs is produced by Bumpy Knuckles. If people don't know who Bumpy Knuckles is, he's Freddie Fox, aka Freddie Fox, who he's known for he's the guy you don't put on the album with your favorite rapper because he will destroy him. But he's also a great producer. So one of the first projects that we got out is a song produced by Bumpy Knuckles, featuring DJ Jazzy Jeff, Chuck D of Public Enemy, Ice-T, and me.
Dang.
So that's going to be the fun. If you love hip hop from 80 to like 98, that's what this is.
That's
and then
fun hearing
I'm
about.
also in a band. I have a band called DMC and the Hellraisers. And what that is it's me with a live band doing my Run DMC catalog live.
Fuck yeah.
Like, everything's live. And then we got 4 new songs that we're doing. That's going to come out. And the last project is I have a project called Dynamic Musical Collaborations, DMC, but it stands for Dynamic Musical Collaborations. And it's Joan Jett, Sammy Hagar, Tim Armstrong from Rancid, Travis Barker, Chuck D. Who else is on it? Mick Mars, Sebastian Bach, Dave Navarro.
That's
It's going to be
sweet.
crazy. Yeah, it's me collaborating with my favorite alternative punk and classic rock artists. So that's all going to come in 2021.
I actually have the Armstrong Fender. I'm desperately trying to learn guitar, and I just like the look of his best, the Hellcat that he designed.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
See,
it's like an
that's my
acoustic.
thing. Everybody's saying, D, if you want to learn guitar, you got to play every day. You got to just tell it's natural. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm gonna keep faking it. I'm gonna distract y'all by making rock songs with my favorite artists and just to be around it. But yeah, that's what I got coming in. Also, before I let you go, don't forget, I have a comic book company. Darryl Makes Comics. DMC in a place to be. Darryl makes comics just like Stan Lee. Like Peter Parker, I live in Queens, and like T'Challa, I am a king. DMC number 4 will be out in about 8 months.
You didn't rhyme that last part. Start the fuck over.